welcome to A Knife's Edge. Today we're going to be making a little bit of pasta, today for lasagna, but you can use this pasta for just about anything. So I am going to start this with 3/4 of a cup of my semolina flour, and then also about 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour. I like this ratio for its combination of silkiness and robust texture. And by weight, this is 130 grams of semolina and 70 grams of all-purpose. If you want to adjust the ratios, adjust by weight. I use by volume because I just know exactly how much each one weighs. So that's kind of important. We're going to also add a little bit of salt, about 1/2 a teaspoon here. I've done this enough times that I know how much it is. Go ahead and grab a measuring spoon if you are not as confident. We're also going to add a little bit of a nice olive oil. Pick an olive oil that you like the flavor of, because that flavor will come through. And finally, the eggs. And as I always recommend, cracking them into a bowl. Make sure I don't have any bad eggs. Don't want to ruin everything. 1 egg and 2 eggs. Now, eggs are an approximate size. You occasionally end up with slightly smaller eggs, and then you could just add a little bit of water, teaspoon by teaspoon, if your pasta is a little too dry. Alright, always remember to lock down your mixer, and then we'll just let this run. Start on low, you can turn it up. Now you can see here it is a little bit dry, so I'm going to scrape everything down off the sides. Obviously I'm going to turn my mixer off first. Lift that up. Just use my hand to scrape that down. And I am going to add about a teaspoon of water just to get things more incorporated. And there we go. Got all the edges all scraped down. Turn that back on, and then drizzle a little water in. I'll do that off camera so I have the extra hand to help. You can see the ball has come together. It's very elastic. Unlock the mixer, lift that up. Now we're going to go back to one of my favorite metaphors, similes. It's the baby's bum. If you've changed diapers, you'll know what a baby's bum feels like, and that's about what you want your pasta dough to feel like texturally. So we'll go ahead and move this aside, awkwardly as possible, ideally. Set the pasta down, move it aside. And there we go. We're going to shape this into a nice firm ball, just like so. We're going to give it a good wrap in cling film. You can use something else as long as it doesn't stick to the pasta. I wouldn't recommend cloth unless it's like an oiled or a waxed cloth. And then we'll let that rest, just like so, for 1/2 an hour. Okay, once you get the cling wrap back off, it's rested, it's had time for all the gluten to relax so that you can stretch the dough. We're going to go ahead and put a little bench flour out. I'm going to cut this into thirds. If you haven't done this as often as I have, I would recommend quarters, just because it's going to be a little easier to work with when you roll everything out. There we go. Relatively even pieces. You can weigh it out, but it's not really that important for this process. So you can feel this edge is kind of nice and moist, not too sticky, but to prevent everything from gumming up the works, we're going to make sure we get nice pinch of flour on there. Also make sure that our edge is thin enough. You always start with the pasta roller at its widest setting, whether that's 0 or 1, just make sure you're at the widest setting. But by pinching the edge to a relatively narrow gauge to begin with, you will have fewer problems overall. Go ahead and turn that on low, always do low, don't try to rush this or bad things will happen. We'll run that through, there we go, lowest setting. Alright, so now we're going to fold this in thirds. This will give you a smoother, more resilient pasta. Once again, making sure the edge is crimped relatively small so it fits through nice and easily. Oh, look at that. That is gorgeous. Once, twice. I did the second time because it had a few little wrinkles and dimples. It's a sign that you need to go through yet again. A little bit of herb there. I'm going to pull that out, fold it into thirds, carefully pinch the edges, and we're now going to just start running it through, making the pasta rollers more narrow and more narrow as we go. Now when it feels a little sticky, go ahead, a little more bench flour, keep things rolling along nicely. One side, and don't forget the other. Now I ended up taking this to number 5. In retrospect, number 4 probably would have been a better idea. It was just a touch thin. I do like thin lasagna pasta just so that you get a lot of layers. I like a lot of layers. It ends up holding up better once you let it rest additionally. So when you wrap up the first one, go ahead and make sure that you give it a good coating of flour, set it aside, and you can work on the others. Get it all ready, all rolled out, just like so. All right, almost there. Now, you'll notice that I've got my pot of water starting to warm up. We're going to go ahead and remove our mixer, set up the container we're going to make our lasagna in so that I can just get a good idea of exactly how long I want my sheets to go. So I'll cut these out, flour them, and set them aside temporarily before I can cook them. All right, there you go. It's about the right length. We'll just rinse and repeat until we get done with our pasta. Now you might be able to skip this step if you have super wet sauce. I always like to do this just to get a consistent product. You can also blanch the pasta sheets as you need them, so you can have the raw pasta there, assemble things, so you'll blanch your pasta, a couple sheets, set it in, and then work on the next layer. But I'm going to go ahead and blanch it all. you can see, into the boiling water. The stove isn't the greatest, so it doesn't keep things at a nice boil like I normally like, but it works well enough. Make sure that they don't stick together. Doesn't take long. When they float, they're done. Just pop them out. You can see this can be a difficult task, so go ahead and grab yourself a set of tongs into the blanching water, let them cool, and then do it all again. Please feel free to ask any questions in the comments below. Also, like, comment, subscribe. Hope you've enjoyed this. Come back and see what we do next time. What exactly will the lasagna be? Until then, thanks very much, and see you later.